Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm doing another requested 10-team fantasy football mock draft. I'm going to show you how to win your league by winning your draft. Let's start this fantasy football podcast right meow. All right, guys, welcome back. We are on it again. We're doing a 10-team PPR fantasy football mock draft. This time we are hitting it from the first slot. That's right. This is a requested mock draft from a little over a week ago. This request came in, so we're getting it out today. And I'll let that guy know. But anybody else who's drafted from the one slot, it is a little bit more complicated than it looks like. You can mess it up pretty easy. Sure, you're going to get a great pick right off the front, but then it could fall apart from there because you got another 19 picks before you pick again, right? So you got to make sure that you're prepared, ready to go. I would suggest doing a ton of mock drafts. I've done a few to make sure that I'm kind of up on this one to see where we want to go with it. But obviously, we know who our first pick is going to be probably, right? Let's see here. Let me set it up. Let's go ahead and get in on the mock screen. Here we go. All right, and then before we get into that, I just want to let you guys know that we do have the, it's right over here. The Victory Draft Kit is up and going. It is ready for you. Go ahead and head over to our website. It's ffbupside.com. You're going to be able to get our draft kit for just $10 right now. That's about as low as you're going to find it, guys. Price of 2 cups of coffee. But it's got all kinds of information in it that's going to, help you figure out how to manage your draft this year. We've got all kinds of stuff that we've been working on all summer long to get ready. We've got rankings and all kinds of composite rankings that we've done where we've figured out all kinds of power information, figured out consistency, average scoring, and other information that you're just not going to find anywhere else. We've done a deep dive on things, makes it quite easy for you, so you don't have to do that deep dive. All right, let's get moving here. We've got a PPR, first position 10 team, 1 flex, 5 bench spots. Everything else is pretty normal. Let's go ahead and hit our draft, and let's see what we can do here. All right, right off the top, I think we know who we're going to take, right? Some people are out there taking Dalvin Cook. I would not do that in a PPR. I could see the argument arguably a little bit for Alvin Kamara. I'm not a big fan of that move either. I think there's too many question marks with the QB. Now, that's not to say there aren't question marks around the QB with Christian McCaffrey, right? Darnold has not performed when he was on the Jets, but he did have Adam Gase as his coach. So I think that we can probably forgive him for a little bit, give him a little bit of leeway. But Christian McCaffrey has just done nothing but perform. So I'm going to go with Christian McCaffrey here. Grab him right up front. I don't think that's too much of a surprise, kind of a no-brainer in my opinion. And we're going to move on here. All right. What I've been seeing is that wide receiver is pretty strong coming around on the second and the third pick. At the back of the second round, top of the third round. Running back's a pretty picked over spot at that point, and you're already into tier 3, whereas I think that you're still kind of hanging around front end of tier 1. In my opinion, you've still got a few guys that are tier 1, or at least one guy that I would drop into that tier 1 spot. And that's Justin Jefferson. I would have him in the tier 1 category. I think he's consistent. Even if Kirk Cousins chooses not to get vaccinated, right? He's still going to, I think, be able to produce for you. I don't know who their QB would be right now if they didn't have Kirk Cousins. So that's a bit curious. I'm not a huge fan of Keenan Allen, and I know they're pushing him on me here. But Keenan Allen is just a guy that is a roller coaster. You'll hear some fantasy analysts, people on Twitter talk about how Keenan Allen is just the picture of consistency year over year over year. He's a wide receiver 2, back end wide receiver 1. Yeah, if you're looking at year-end score, sure. But that's because fantasy football has gotten taken over by too many best ball players. That's the problem right now. So they're giving you best ball information. They're not giving you fantasy football information, which is quite different. Best ball concerns itself not at all with week over week. So a guy like Keenan Allen absolutely makes sense in that context. If you're drafting for best ball, sure, consider Keenan Allen here. But if you're not drafting for best ball and you're drafting for a regular week in, week out, head-to-head or roto style league, you need to make sure that you're looking at the week-over-week consistency. Our power rankings break that down. You can find that at our website. You can find it in our draft kit. You're going to be able to see what the consistency from one week to the next really actually looks like for each of these players. And Keenan Allen is not a consistent guy. He made his nut last year on 3 games pretty much. He busted so many weeks for you. It would have just been terrible to have him on your team, honestly. So a guy who's the opposite of that and a high-level performer and likely to have a very good year this year, Justin Jefferson. So that's where we're going right here. And nothing's really changing, obviously, right? It's the same analysis. I actually have been going back-to-back wide receiver here, grabbing DK Metcalf usually. I do like Antonio Gibson, though, a whole lot this year. My hope would be that maybe I could see Terry McLaurin fall down the board, but it's kind of a personal decision here. Do you want to go with somebody like DK Metcalf, who's going to be a high-end, awesome wide receiver? Do you think that wide receiver is going to clear out before you get a chance to go grab somebody like Antonio Gibson, who is going to be gone, right? And to see him available here is actually a pretty good thing. His ADP is hanging around 17, 18 in that range. I think it's only going to be moving up. So I think that by the season start, you'll see that he's going to get a little bit more noise. And so this might be one of the last opportunities for drafting anytime near now that you're going to be able to grab him now. So for me, it falls to 2 guys, Antonio Gibson and DK Metcalf. I do like some of these other wide receivers, but I think that they're available a little bit later. So look, I'd push DK Metcalf to the high-end tier 2, like really high-end value. And I'd put Antonio Gibson up there too. We have an opportunity right here to grab 2 running backs that are pass catchers. And Antonio Gibson, I think, is going to do a lot more pass catching this year. I think that he is kind of like a CMC light in a lot of ways, potentially. You got Riverboat Ron not calling plays, but hanging out on the sideline over there. Maybe he wants to do the same thing. You've also got a solid quarterback there. So I'm going to go with Antonio Gibson here. I don't think I could pass up the opportunity in a PPR situation to grab that running back. I know that I'm passing on some good wide receiver value, but I feel pretty solid with that move. All right. Chris Carson's a pretty good running back to find at the back of the 4th round here. David Montgomery is as well. I am, in the instances in which I've gone wide receiver in the 2nd and 3rd, I have found regularly David Montgomery falling to my 4th pick. And so that is a good consolation, in my opinion. The one caveat I would give you right now, if you were considering David Montgomery, is that you better be drafting closer to the season. You'll have a better indication or idea of what the injury situation is in Chicago. There's so many injuries right now going on in that team. The line is decimated. Linebackers are decimated. There's all kinds of issues going on. And if that defense is beat up, I don't know that David Montgomery is going to not get games scripted out for you. I don't know if he's going to be able to run if they're running backups out there to the offensive line regularly. So that's a concern. I'm going to head over here, though, and check out what's going on with wide receiver. You've got Julio hanging out there. I like Deontay Johnson. And as I'm recording this, I think the football game is over, the Hall of Fame game. Deontay Johnson was getting a little bit of noise there. There was concern about him getting hurt potentially. Another consolation prize would be Tyler Lockett. Look, people are going to tell you it's a bit of a reach, right? But the truth of the matter is that you're not going to pick again until the back of the 6th round. You've got 2 picks going here. So if you're picking at the back of the 6th round, you're not going to get the opportunity to hope that Tyler Lockett's going to fall to you, that Deontay Johnson's going to fall to you. These wide receivers are not going to do that. They're just not going to be around by the time that you're picking again. And so running back, I feel like we've got 2 good running backs right up front already. We could come down here and grab one of these other guys, but I think that what we do is we lean towards the wide receiver. Tight ends already lost 3 guys. I'm guessing QB, there's still some elite stuff there, but the differences between a lot of these guys are going to be fairly negligible. Dak Prescott's dealing with a little bit of an injury, so it pushes him down the board a little bit for me, and I think that 5 is probably an appropriate spot for him. Kyler Murray, in my opinion, is the only one here that I would draft at this point. I think he's going to have enough plays, but I'm just not reaching for that QB right now. So where I'm leaning right now is looking at probably going wide receiver right now, and then for my next pick, considering either going with somebody like Chris Carson or David Montgomery, or just going back wide receiver again. You'll notice I haven't really talked about Julio a whole lot right now, but I do like Julio. I think that he's solid. My concern here is that this team it's just not going to produce enough pass volume to really provide him with the same level of output that he always had with Atlanta, or nearly always had with Atlanta. That offense was throwing at top 3 levels, usually like 600 plus passes, 700 passes, 700 plays, whatever it is. They were running a lot of pass plays into that huddle, and he benefited from that. This is not a team that does that. Tennessee isn't going to do that. They're going to rely on the running game. So if we're looking at wide receivers, I would probably pass on him, and I would come down here a little bit further. I'm not really looking at DJ Moore. I do like Deontay Johnson. I like Tyler Lockett. I like Thielen. We've already got Justin Jefferson, so we're probably not going to double up on Minnesota wide receivers, although they could both still perform as top 24 guys, I think. I think that Thielen's going to fall down a little bit. Lockett might fall down a little bit this year, but that's where we're going. We're going with Tyler Lockett, and then we're going to check out the running back. I think that we go with running back here. Let's just double check this roster. Some people like to fill out their lineup, right? They like to fill it out, draft their guys in order, go ahead and get that third wide receiver, make sure they got their core guys. I think that that's probably not the best idea right here. Believe it or not, there is some value that is hiding down here that is startable value. You've got Chase Claypool hiding out down there. You've got a couple other guys that might sneak into another round here for you that you could reasonably grab. I think the better move is to make sure that you're getting pass catching work out of running backs. Like I said, David Montgomery is concerning. Chris Carson, it's got a big injury history, right? As you know. That offense is also switching up a lot more from what we understand or what we can tell. They intend to throw the ball a lot more. Chris Carson's not a bad pass catcher. So it is between these two guys. And I lean more towards David Montgomery probably, which pains me to say, as you can see. But I'm going to go with David Montgomery. Let's just make sure nobody has snuck past us. I'm going to go with David Montgomery. I think he's going to get a decent amount of volume, decent amount of pass opportunity, and that's really what we're looking at here at the front end of the PPR draft. All right, we're heading into the back of the 6th round. Let's see what's happened in each of these spots here. We've still got TJ Hawkinson hanging out on there. I'm actually, I think, leaning more towards trying to target somebody like Logan Thomas. I think that the value difference is it's not enough to reach up there and grab TJ Hawkinson. Now, Hawkinson has fallen down the board here, right? And so we are looking at, a pretty good value. It's right around where he should be getting picked up. So we could grab him there if we felt like it. I think that we need to look at wide receiver, especially. Running back is probably something we'll pass a little bit on just because we've already gotten 3 guys. But if we hadn't gotten David Montgomery, we've got some great consolation prizes, right? We've got Gaskin and Hunt hanging out down there, and I think Melvin Gordon is being slept on a little bit this year. I think he's going to come out and do pretty well. We're still going to pass on QB. The difference between these 4 guys here, actually I would toss in Tannehill and Brady as well. Dak Prescott with his injury, again, he's being pushed down my board. Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert, Ryan Tannehill, Tom Brady. You could maybe make an argument that 1 or 2 of those guys is going to finish in the realm of like elite QBs, but the draft capital at this point is better spent on something that's a little bit less reliable. And so that's going to be your running back or your wide receiver. So I feel a little bit like I should probably go ahead and, again, I've talked about this. I've commented about this. When you are sitting at the ends of the draft in your league, you cannot consider ADP the same way that you would normally consider it. You need to think of it in a manner of, I'm going to get my guys, I'm going to build my team the way I want it built, and I'm not going to rely upon ADP. I will use ADP solely for the purpose of estimating whether or not a player will be gone who I am targeting. When you are the first pick, you get the luxury of targeting that first pick, right? But you also have to be able to target guys who might seem like reaches down the board because you are going to be sitting waiting for a lot of picks to go off the board before you get to go again. in snake style drafts. So for me, I think you could consider Cortland Sutton here. You could consider Claypool here. You could also consider Jerry Jeudy. It's between Sutton and Jeudy. I think you could make an argument for either guy there. Robbie Anderson, it's not a terrible move. Again, we're concerned about the passing game because it is a QB who we're not entirely convinced of right now. Running back, I think we can't pass up on running back. So I think what we're going to end up doing is go ahead and just grab this running back right now, and then let's make our second pick. And that's going to probably be this wide receiver here. I think that we're going to go with Chase Claypool most likely. Let's just double check our roster, see what we've already got. We got Jefferson, Lockett. I think Chase Claypool is the guy to grab here. Tight end, we can still sit and wait a little bit. We want to get Logan Thomas, I think, at the last, maybe Tunyon as well. But Tunyon, I've got reservations about. His touchdown rate was just astronomical last year. So I think what we'll do is we'll go ahead and grab this wide receiver here. We're going to grab Chase Claypool. That's where I feel most comfortable. But for me, right at this point, it would be between Sutton and Claypool. So we'll go with Claypool, and we'll come back around here on the 8th round and see what we've got. All right, so they're pushing QB. They've got Rodgers' name up there. I'm guessing that a few QBs ran off the board. Yeah, it looks like Russell Wilson just went. But let's just see what's happening in each of these categories. So Rodgers is one of the last guys who I think is a safe bet. Tannehill's a pretty decent bet, but again, the same argument I made about Julio Jones earlier is that the pass volume is really just not there. So you have to concern yourself more with average depth of target that Tannehill is going to have this year. And can you reasonably estimate that? I don't know. He is absolutely consistent, and that offense provides a decent level of balance, and it gives you a good amount of consistency from him. The concerning factor is just whether or not that consistency is deep enough down the field, right? That's what it really boils down to. You could take a flyer, you could go down here and get Joe Burrow, or you could sit tight and go get Joe Burrow or Trevor Lawrence or even Matt Ryan or Jalen Hurts. A lot of people have been pushing him up their board, but look, Philadelphia doesn't seem committed to him. I've heard arguments that, Jalen Hurts is a top 6 quarterback, and I don't even see how he's not. And I can tell you many ways he's not. It's a porous offensive line if they lose one or two guys. It really is. And they've shown that in the past. Wide receiver and QB, there are a few good options here. Wide receiver is a little picked over right now. It's probably some reaching to go get wide receivers. Running back depth is pretty solid right now. There's some pretty good running back opportunities. Now, if we start doing the math, next time the picks come around, it's odds on that we are looking at a tier of tight end that we're really not interested in getting involved in. So we're going to look at these 3 tight ends here. I do like Fant. Not a huge fan of Goddard. I just never have been. I feel like he's Evan Ingram without the rookie hype, I guess. Just a lot of promise. A lot of people see the physical skill set and just no productivity to really say week over week you've got that. Whereas Logan Thomas has already gotten his breakout. So I'm going to go with Logan Thomas here. And then the running backs are really about the only thing I would consider other than QB right now. We've been pushing down the board and holding off on picking tight end and holding off on picking QB. And we are starting to see things dry up a little bit in that realm. And so we're going to go with Aaron Rodgers probably here. The running backs that are available are great depth picks for us. They would be absolutely awesome depth picks. Somebody like Javonte Williams that you can hopefully see later in the season catch on. But Melvin Gordon is the guy I think right off the bat. Damian Harris is not a bad pick here either. I think he's going to get a lot more work than people are guessing. James Robinson, same thing. I think he's going to get a lot more work than people think. But we're going to go ahead and go with QB here. Because like I said before, it's a lot less consistent, a lot less reliable. With Rodgers, you're getting last year's MVP, and I don't know that that's really going to change. What's changed for him? He's just another year older. Everybody's just anticipating that cliff eventually, I guess. I mean, yeah. So I saw a comment on Twitter today. Somebody said that people are still drafting Aaron Jones like Aaron Rodgers hasn't come back. And so capitalize on that. And then I saw somebody else comment, people are still drafting Aaron Rodgers like Aaron Rodgers hasn't come back. He's back, so draft him. All right, here we go. We are on, looks like the 100th pick here. We've already got our QB taken care of. And we've filled out pretty much our starters, right? We've got everything that we need. We've got, looks like 4 running backs, 3 wide receivers. If we want to do a rundown here really quick, we've got Rodgers, then we've got CMC, Antonio Gibson, David Montgomery and Kareem Hunt at running back, Justin Jefferson, Tyler Lockett, Chase Claypool at wide receiver, and Logan Thomas at tight end. This is definitely an upside team, I think, as far as like this is a fantasy football upside team. These are a lot of guys that we like in a lot of different ways, have a lot of different value. Running back is one area right now that I think we could try to turn to. I'm just not a huge fan of a few of these. Down here hiding, though, is Trey Sermon, a guy who has got a straight line to first, running back 1 carries volume. I think it's becoming apparent that Michael Gallup is taking the 3rd spot behind CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper. So I think that that's a less reliable option. You're looking at a depth pick there. Devontae Parker, it's really hard to predict what's going to happen in Miami this year. You've got Will Fuller in town now. You've got a couple other guys. It looks like it's a battle of vets. So wide receiver is something that around this spot, I think I'm going to lean away from. These are less reliable, less valuable. I think that Michael Gallup's ADP here is probably overblown. I'm not going back to tight end, not going back to QB. I think that you can always pick up a replacement off the waiver wire if you need it in those roles. But I'm going to go down here and I'm going to grab Trey Sermon. And let's see here. Our next pick's going to come up at 120 roughly. 120. So, we've got a lot of different opportunities here. Let's see what we've got, though, as far as depth. We could go with maybe one more running back, but we need to lean probably towards wide receiver. We could have at some point probably grabbed a wide receiver, but I think we're going to be okay. Corey Davis, I think, is dinged up already, if I've read that, if I'm remembering correctly. Elijah Moore's hanging out down there. I think he's going to start shooting up the draft boards, guys. Pay attention to that. You've got Henry Ruggs as an option. Reagor, but you could probably sit and wait for him to fall down the board a little bit. We are getting to the point, though, that, at some point you just got to pull the trigger on guys. I like Devontae Parker. I think he's always been consistent. My concern here is with Tua. I'm not sure he's a very accurate guy. So we're going to go, and I think we've just got to go with the wide receiver and start grabbing guys that we like, guys that we feel comfortable are going to do well. And one of the guys I like a lot is Darnell Mooney. I think that he's going to be pretty decent, especially once Fields comes on, but I think that Dalton's going to be solid there for that as well. And then we can go back here with... let's see here. We've got, Devontae Parker fell down the board with a few other guys. You've got Rashad Bateman could show up. Jalen Reagor, again, Elijah Moore is there. Let's check out running back here. We're going to probably grab one more running back. I don't know if there's any pressure to do it right now. We've got Jamal Williams as an option. Is there anybody that we just want to take a flyer on late? Maybe somebody like Kenneth Gainwell. That's a possibility. I don't believe in grabbing your own handcuffs, so I'm not going to go out there and grab Damian Williams. I don't think that's a necessary thing to do. Chuba Hubbard, that's another handcuff option there. I do like Jamal Williams. We are looking at back-to-back picks. You've also got Tony Pollard. We've talked about him. Probably one of the best backups there is right now. But I think we have to go with wide receiver. I think that this is it's going to feel like reaching a little bit, but it's not really reaching because our next pick's not coming up until the back of the 14th round, right? And what we're going to be doing here is probably taking 2 wide receivers and ending up getting something less than what we would exactly prefer with running back, I guess. Or we're going to go, we could go 1-1. One of each. Let's go with, I like Jamal Williams. I think he's going to get some volume. not a fan of that offense too much. We're going to go with Jamal Williams, and then we're going to go with a wide receiver, and that's going to be, let's go grab Elijah Moore. Let's take that flyer and see what he's got this year. Let's get Elijah Moore, and then here we are. We're just grabbing a kicker and a defense. Let's get that. Let's see here. Defense thins out pretty quick when you're picking first pick. If you wait till the very end like this, just be aware of what's occurring, okay? It does thin out, but if you're playing in a defense league, in a single, slot defense league, you're going to be probably playing the wire anyway for the most part. Bills are a pretty decent defense, and so I'm just going to go with that. I think that the Chiefs are going to show up a little bit better this year than they did last year, and I think the same thing of the Patriots. Kickers, Butker's good. Jason Sanders is a lot better than people give him credit for. He is going up the boards a little bit as a result of maybe starting to get a little bit of noise. But if you look at our power rankings, actually, he finished number 1 overall in kickers last year in our power rankings. And when you really break down how our power rankings work, defense and kicker, it's kind of a cheat code for. So we're looking at that as I'm just looking for my week 1 starters, really. And then from there, we'll go figure out what's going to happen off the waiver wire using our power rankings. All right, so it gave us a B. It is a tough spot to draft from, guys. First pick is a kind of tough draft spot. Everybody loves having that first pick because you get that high value pick, that high value player, that top of the line player right up front. But then once you move off of that, you've got a lot of a lot of travel to do before you get your next pick. And so it is tough. You need to have a very, very solid plan in place. If you can develop some idea of the tendencies of the players that you're playing with or the people that you're playing with, that's a good thing to do. But drafting from that spot, you're going to have an idea of how you want to build your team. And you have to really know, okay, if I am waiting on this player, this is my last chance to get him right now because I got 19 picks to roll before I get to pick again. So make sure you are paying attention to that. All right, that's going to do it for this mock draft. Hopefully that helped out. It's a little bit slower than usual, but I wanted to walk through and explain a lot of the thinking because it is a difficult spot. So hopefully that helps out, and I hope that you guys enjoyed football yesterday. It's the last, we're going to have football every weekend, I think, now until February. So it's awesome. All right, guys, talk to you later. Bye.